I'm not using my real name. Let's just say it's Matthew. And I've changed every name in this story because this really happened to me. And I'm not proud of who I was. If you knew me back then, you wouldn't recognize the man I am now. I used to be that guy. 6 feet tall, perfect physique, blonde hair, piercing blue eyes. I looked like I belonged on a billboard for cologne or something. I grew up in a decent American-Irish Catholic family, one of 6 kids. 3 boys, 3 girls. I was right in the middle, the third child. My parents weren't perfect, but they did their best. My mom made sure we were at Mass every Sunday. No excuses. I won't even say what state I grew up in because I don't want to give too much away. Let's just say it was a normal place with decent people. A small town where everyone knew each other. I didn't have a traumatic childhood. No abuse. No major drama. Just me, making bad choices. I was 13 when I first got with a girl. It happened during one of my sister's sleepovers with a friend of my sister's, a girl who was 15. That flipped a switch in me. After that, I was obsessed with girls and attention. It gave me this rush of power, made me feel invincible. It turned me into a narcissistic womanizer, always chasing that high like a drug. In high school, I was on top of the world. Quarterback, homecoming king, total heartthrob. Girls wanted me, guys wanted to be me, and I didn't care who I hurt. I even cheated on the girl I was homecoming king with. Lied, ghosted, used people. I never felt guilty. I thought I was untouchable. In my early 20s, I married a girl named Emily. She was this good Catholic girl, really innocent. Actually a virgin when I finally got her. I've been chasing her since she was 16 and I was 21. Didn't even care that she was underage. I was a scumbag who just saw it as part of the game. And yeah, even while I was trying to get her, I was seeing other women. It didn't matter to me. When Emily finally turned 18, I got her pregnant. I was 23. My Irish conservative Catholic family liked Emily and would rather have me marry young and settle down to stop chasing women. So marriage wasn't really optional. It was expected. We got married when she was 2 months pregnant. We had our son, Max. Honestly, he was the only truly good thing that came from who I was back then. But even with that, I never stopped cheating. I cheated on Emily while we were dating, while I was chasing her, even on my bachelor party. I partied with 2 strippers that night at the same time, if you know what I mean. I even did the unthinkable on our wedding day. One of her bridesmaids, one of her friends, I don't even remember her name, wasn't even that hot, honestly. They were all at this nearby house where the girls were getting ready for the wedding. I went there to grab something I'd forgotten, but one of the bridesmaids stopped me at the door because I wasn't supposed to see Emily before the ceremony. She was already drunk and flirting with me, and I totally took advantage of that. I ended up seducing her right there. Emily was upstairs in one of the bedrooms getting her hair and makeup done, while I was downstairs having fun with her friend in another room. Things got a little loud and out of hand, but the music blaring upstairs covered it. That's how much of a lowlife I was. Did marriage slow me down? Hell no. I worked at a gym after that and got into some friendly fun with 3 of the female trainers there. Emily had gained a little weight after Max was born, and I used that in my head to justify it. I actually had these women at the gym fighting over me. 2 of them got into a physical altercation right there in front of patrons. When the manager found out it was because of me, he pulled me into his office and told me I was a good worker, but I needed to make better choices and he couldn't have that kind of drama in his gym. Got fired from the gym because of it too. But Emily never found out. I told her some other story. Didn't even faze me. Got fired in the morning, had a new job by the afternoon at a mattress store. The owner's wife did the interview. Hot, older, clearly bored in her marriage. She looked at me in a way that suggested she was interested in more than just my qualification. Let's be real, she hired me because of my good looks. At the mattress store, I kept going. Cheated on Emily with the owner's wife. Like I mentioned before, she was older, classy, and hot. Then I ended up with this lady's hotter sister. And yeah, to make things worse, I even ended up hanging out with her 19-year-old daughter when she visited from college. I didn't even have any shame. We'd sometimes hang out on the mattresses in the back, our own little secret spot for fun and mischief. And one day, Emily tried to surprise me at work. She found the store locked while my boss and I were having our little fun. She went to the back, peeked in the window, and saw me with the woman. Just caught me in the act, literally. Emily always suspected I was cheating. I was sneaky with my phone, always had a lock on it. She'd ask why, and I'd have my excuses ready. Told her it was for security because my banking app was on there, and I didn't want anyone stealing my banking information. She bought it. She even found one of my burner Facebook accounts once. When she asked about it, I acted surprised and worried. Then I told her it was a fake profile that someone who was probably trying to steal my identity made it. Said I reported it, but Facebook never took it down. Truth was, I used it to talk to women. Message them, set up dates, and you know the rest. People would tell Emily they'd seen me hanging around other women. I always had an answer. Oh, that was just my coworker. That was my boss buying me lunch. Those people are lying to you. Always something. And since Emily was this sheltered, naive, good Catholic girl who always wanted to believe the best, so she did. Until eventually, she got the proof she needed when she caught me. After she busted me, Emily took Max and left. Filed for divorce right after. I'll admit I missed my son. That stung. But even then, I didn't really change. I still got to see Max on weekends and had to pay child support. But then I moved to another state with a new girlfriend. Not even one of the women I'd cheated on Emily with. While I was still married, I completed my basic general education classes at the community college, where I met Melissa. That was also when I was seeing other women there too. Even as I kept working at the mattress store, I wanted a change and new opportunities. In other words, more women I could meet. So I left with Melissa for a bigger city in a new state. That's the kind of guy I was back then. When I moved to this mid-sized city in another state with my new girlfriend Melissa, I landed a job at a call center doing hotel bookings. Decent pay, decent hours, bonuses for sales, easy work. Perfect for me. Within 6 months, I was juggling 3 women there. Couldn't help myself. That's just how I was. One of them was my boss, Natalie. Married, late 20s. I didn't care at all. She was cute in her own way, chubby, wore big glasses, smart, and had this sharp, classy vibe. Not exactly a head turner, but for me it was all about the thrill and what I could get out of it. Honestly, I went after her partly because I wanted a promotion. We ended up having an affair that lasted almost a year. She actually did help to promote me to supervisor, but that was always my pattern. Get what I wanted, have a few fun adventures, then get bored and lose interest. Natalie didn't want to get caught, either at work or by her husband. She'd get jealous and start questioning me once she realized I was seeing other women in the office too. I could tell she was genuinely hurt. But she was married, and I wasn't really her boyfriend, so what could she say? She didn't have much of a leg to stand on. Still, she wasn't stupid. She wasn't about to throw away her marriage or her career over me. We agreed to end it. Technically, it was mutual, but I was the one who pushed for it. I was getting bored. She ended up transferring to another department in the same call center company. HR was in a different building on the same property, 3 buildings total, and she moved over there. I'm pretty sure it was so she wouldn't have to see me every day. Can't really blame her for that. She probably didn't want to keep getting hurt. Honestly, I think she even landed a better promotion in HR out of it. Meanwhile, I got her old position, which paid better. So really, I got rid of Natalie and made more money. Win-win for me. Meanwhile, I kept mingling with other women in the office. In total, it was like 7 of them. But here's the thing. I was living with Melissa at the time in this nice brand new condo I was buying in my name. We even had a hot tub out back. Thought I was real slick, except I was a sloppy idiot. We had security cameras around the place for safety, and one day she was checking the footage for something else and found a video I forgot to delete. Me, clear as day, enjoying the hot tub with one of the office girls. I came home one evening and her stuff was gone. She didn't even say goodbye, just left the footage playing on the computer monitor for me like a goodbye note. Honestly, I didn't even care. I was already bored with Melissa, so her leaving was basically doing me a favor. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Melissa wanted to move to this mid-sized city because it was close to the college she planned to attend. You see, Melissa inherited some money after her grandmother, who had won a big state lottery a few years earlier, passed away. She put a hefty down payment on the condo, making the mortgage affordable. But since her credit was bad, the place had to be in my name. After I got promoted, she also gave me the down payment for a new Dodge Challenger. So, of course, I didn't reach out after she left. I didn't want her asking for her money back. Honestly, I was surprised she never did. She probably didn't care since she still had plenty of money left. In the end, I ended up with a slick modern condo and a brand new car. Both I could afford thanks to the down payments Melissa gave me and my promotion. And yeah, I was definitely using her for the money too. Worked out for me. Then she walked in. Tatiana. By this time, I was 30 and had been at the call center for about 4 years. It was 2016, and we had a new training class starting. She was from Brazil. Long dark hair, those dark eyes that looked like they could read your soul, olive light skin. She was effortlessly beautiful, with a flawless complexion like porcelain, made unforgettable by her lips glowing in a deep, rich shade of red lipstick. And her body? Unreal. All natural. She had a breathtaking hourglass shape, big and busty, with a tiny waist and curves that seemed sculpted, so voluptuous. She turned heads the second she showed up. She was married, 36, but looked like she was 25. Her being married didn't stop me at all. And she wasn't dumb either. She spoke Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, French, and English fluently. The call center loved hiring people who could handle bookings all over the world, since it was for hotels and vacation packages, so she was a perfect fit. Smart woman. And that accent? God. It turned me on just hearing her talk. Thing is, she wasn't even on my team originally. Another supervisor, an older woman in her 50s, had too many people in hers. I worked it and manipulated things so I could balance the teams, and got Tatiana assigned to me. All the guys in the office were drooling over her, but I knew she'd be my next conquest. I played it smooth, offered to help her with calls, pulled my chair right up next to hers, leaning in, making her laugh, asking her personal questions. Professional enough to look innocent to HR, but I was already planning my next move. When I sat next to her at her desk, I couldn't help noticing all the weird, twisted little shit she kept there. Creepy statues with horns but no face. Occult symbols I couldn't even name, but they practically radiated something dark. She was pretty tatted up with satanic-looking designs, pentagrams, and other ominous symbols. She even had a pentagram on her left breast. All of her tattoos were mostly hidden by her clothes unless you were really looking. And you know I was. She wore black and red almost every day, with tight tops that showed cleavage and long skirts, some with lace, sometimes fishnet stockings, and the skirts often had slits up the side so when she sat down you could just barely see the garter belts. She had a thing for clothes with red roses, stitched into her skirts, printed on her tops, sometimes even on her stockings. Dark feminine, hot clothing, discreet but with flashes of sexiness, gave off this total dark goth metal vibe. Dangerous, forbidden, and it drove me insane. Look, I'm an all-American white boy. Grew up in a small town with basically zero diversity. I'd never met anyone like her. That accent, those edgy tattoos, that sexy but discreet wardrobe, it made me crazy, turned me on like nothing else. And when calls would come in and she spoke Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, or French, just switching so smooth, it was like the dirtiest kind of foreplay, and I'd catch myself shifting in my seat, trying to hide how turned on I was, if you know what I mean. She also had this little statue of a woman in red on her desk, too, where she put small chocolates around it. I found out later it was pombagira, some Brazilian folk witchcraft. Honestly, that just made it even hotter. Like I was tempting something unholy, and I loved every second of it. She also cooked like a pro. We'd have potlucks on Fridays and some holidays, and she always made sure I got something special. She learned chicken wings were my favorite, so she'd drop them off at my office just for me. Sometimes she even brought me smoothies. Yeah, I had her wrapped around my finger. Or so I thought. That's when it all started. I found myself dreaming about her every night, which was crazy for me. For a while, I even stopped chasing other women. She completely took over my thoughts. At first, I told myself I was just fascinated by how exotic and different she was. Whenever she went to lunch, I'd find an excuse to join her. There was this quiet spot by the trees with hidden benches and umbrellas where I'd just happen to be. I'd act like I didn't know she'd be there, just so I could sit with her, talk, and learn more about her. She told me she had a son about the same age as mine, 7 years old. Over time, I found out a lot more. Like how she was married to some American engineer in his mid-50s who made serious bank. Bald, fat, no competition for me at all. He met her while on a vacation trip to Brazil with his previous wife. Tatiana worked at a hotel over there. That's how they crossed paths. The wife passed away soon after they met, and this guy ended up bringing Tatiana to the States. The new, younger, hotter replacement. She lived in one of those big houses with a pool in the expensive part of town. Total trophy wife setup. She drove a black BMW SUV. Her husband really spoiled her. And this job? She didn't even need it. The pay was pocket change for her lifestyle. She only took it because the call center was for booking hotels all over the world. And the employees got all kinds of perks, free stays, crazy cheap vacations. It was like her personal travel club. I have to admit, I loved hearing it. The whole setup just made the game even more interesting to me. Like I was stealing some rich man's trophy right out from under his nose. I found out Tatiana took her son to summer day camp, and since this was a mid-sized city with limited options for summer activities for kids, I used that as an excuse to start taking my own son Max to the same camp whenever he came to visit. I even asked Tatiana if she could pick Max up and drop him off sometimes, since she only worked part-time. At first, it was innocent enough. She'd pick up Max after work and take him to her place so he could play with her son at the pool in her big house. I found out through Max that she lived on a large property with horses, a huge mansion, and a pool. Max told me that while him and the other boy were playing in the pool, he saw her go into this little house by the pool. It even had a tiny window where she could keep an eye on them. She said something to her son in a different language, and when Max asked what she said, the other boy casually replied, "Oh, my mom's going into her chapel to do her prayers." One day, Max even sneaked a peek inside that little house and saw a life-size statue of a lady in red, surrounded by red and black candles, candy, and flowers. The little house looked like a tiny church in the backyard, but Max thought it was just Catholic stuff. After their pool time, she would always drop Max back off at my place without any problems. At first, it was completely harmless, just the kids playing and hanging out. This routine went on for maybe a couple of weeks, but the second week she brought Max back, I asked her to come inside and hang out for a bit. The boys went straight to the spare room to play video games. I always kept it set up just for Max. That's when it happened. We were alone in the kitchen. I pulled her close and kissed her. She didn't resist. She kissed me right back. We were careful not to let the boys see or for her son to run home and tell his dad what was going on. So she left pretty quickly after that. But that was all it took. Later that night, after Max was asleep in his room, she came over at midnight. From then on, it was on. We started taking the same half days off work, or even full days. She'd come over to my apartment since I lived alone, and we'd go at it for hours. We went on long, sweaty marathons of passion in every room of my condo, sharing wild, unrestrained moments. She was an absolute goddess in intimacy, and we were careful, always sneaky, kept it under the radar. We didn't want the boys, or her husband, or work ever finding out. This went on for about 3 years. At first it was great, all fun and games, but time flew by and I didn't even realize that she was the only woman I was with. That freaked me out. I started to panic when I realized I wasn't chasing other women anymore, that I might actually be falling in love, which was something I never let happen. As a matter of fact, it had never happened. I didn't know how to handle that, so I'd try to break it off with her. I'd do the classic move where I'd tell her in the morning I was done, then be right back in her arms that afternoon. It was pathetic. I even tried to distract myself with Tinder and hookup apps, looking for women who had her vibe, but every single one was just a cheap knockoff. The worst part was, I couldn't perform unless I imagined they were her, and if I managed to perform, I finished. Then immediately feel this gross, angry, depressed emptiness. I'd kick them out of my condo in a foul mood, disgusted with myself. And somehow, she knew. She'd throw it in my face later when we fought, telling me I was pathetic and that my member doesn't even work with other women. It seriously freaked me out. I was like, how the fuck does she know that? The whole thing started messing with my head at work too. I'd be at my desk and just zone out, thinking about her, getting anxious if I hadn't talked to her. I remember acting like a complete jerk to her at work, berating her over stupid work shit just to try to push her away. But she'd show up at my condo to talk about it. Then we end up screaming at each other and back in a wild, passionate embrace again. It was toxic, wild, delicious, and addicting as hell. I couldn't break free. Every time I tried, I went right back. One day, after yet another attempt to end it, she came over to my place. We had this huge, nasty fight. The nastiest we'd ever had because she even got physical with me. During the argument, I told her I needed to end this because I wanted to find a nice girl to settle down with. And that pissed her off so much, I swear I saw her eyes turn completely black, like she was possessed. This time, she slapped me hard across the face and even scratched me while hissing, "This is not going to end well for you, asshole." By this time, it was 2020, and we all know what happened then. Everything shut down. No one was going on vacations, so the whole call center was about to lay off most of us. And guess who was in HR putting together the list of who was getting canned? Natalie. Of course it was her. I'm sure she was still pissed at me after everything. She made sure my name was on there. And guess who else? Tatiana. But Tatiana didn't even really need the job. Her husband was loaded, coming from a rich family himself, with multiple properties and God knows how much money in the bank. Tatiana, like the rest of the sales reps who got let go, got one of those big severance packages, like 30 grand just to walk away. Hell, I got 30 grand too, plus a decent chunk in savings and unemployment. I thought I was set for a while. At first, I told myself this was my chance to cut her off. I wouldn't be seeing her at work every day. It'd fade. But no, I still wanted her. Bad. Worse. Not seeing her at work made it even worse. Now I was going out of my way to see her, still sneaking around, still spending time with her, and I was miserable about it. I even started realizing I was jealous of her fat, bald, old man husband. Like, really jealous. I had dark thoughts about deleting the guy. Not that I would. I'm not about to go to prison for that shit, but the thoughts were there. Then I started getting sick. First, I thought it was that damn virus everyone was catching. And yeah, I got that, but there was something else going on too. By around winter of 2020, my hair was falling out in clumps. I had these nasty black blotches on my skin. I was literally pissing blood. I also hardly saw Tatiana anymore. Meanwhile, I was burning through my severance, my savings, and my unemployment like water, trying to maintain my lifestyle, trying to keep her, eating top ramen and dollar menu shit once money ran low. By then, I was about to lose my car because I couldn't make the payments. I was deeply depressed, couldn't find a job, couldn't even afford my electric bill. I hadn't had electricity for like 2 months. Tatiana finally cut me off completely in spring of 2021. Just went ice cold and stopped answering my text. That's when I ran into Ruben. I was out walking since my car was parked with no gas. And I see Ruben, a buddy of mine who used to work with me at the call center. Ruben was basically the Latino version of me, good looking, same build, same height, even wore the same size clothes. Back in the day, we were like brothers from another mother, hitting up bars together, hunting for women, always chasing the next good time. We'd bonded over that, but Ruben had been smart. He left the call center, found his match, got married, settled down. We hadn't seen each other in years. We caught up. I told him everything. All the shit with Tatiana. He didn't judge. He was my boy. We were cut from the same cloth. He actually had been there when Tatiana first started. He stuck around for maybe a month after she got hired. He'd seen her, knew exactly who I was talking about. So he says, "Let's you, me, and my wife Sarah grab dinner." We go to this little Mexican place, and first real meal I'd had in forever. I'm laying it all out, and Sarah's listening real careful. And then she hits me with it. "Matthew, you ever think maybe that woman bewitched you?" I laughed. Thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. Turns out Sarah knew about Tatiana, since this was a mid-sized town where people still knew each other and ran into one another. Her aunt used to be a housekeeper for Tatiana's husband, and for his first wife before she passed away. Sarah looks me dead in the eye and says, "My aunt always said Tatiana was a witch. Said she probably used witchcraft to snag that old rich guy. Maybe even deleted his first wife with it. She had a ritual site deep in the backwoods of her sprawling property where strange practices had clearly taken place, with evidence suggesting that dark, twisted rituals involving animals had occurred. And then there was that little chapel in the backyard, the one where Tatiana prayed to strange, dark deities. That's when her aunt realized Tatiana wasn't just bad news, she was dangerous. And that's why she quit working there for good." That's when it hit me. I remembered what Max told me about that same chapel on Tatiana's property, the one with the dark, demonic statue and all those creepy trinkets. I thought about the satanic-looking junk she kept on her desk, and those tattoos, one of a horned woman in red, a pentagram inked on her left breast, and Baphomet sprawled across her back. And I couldn't forget that time during one of our nastiest fights, when I told her I needed to find a nice girl to settle down with, and she lost it. Her eyes turned completely dark, almost inhuman, right before she slapped me hard and scratched my face. Suddenly, Ruben and Sarah didn't sound so crazy anymore. Maybe they were right. Ruben and Sarah offered to help me get rid of this curse, and about a week later, they took me to see this old Mexican curandera, a witch doctor, charged $50 for Olympia, a spiritual cleansing. I didn't even have the money. Ruben paid and said I could pay him back if it worked. Because by then, My life was so fucked I was willing to try anything. No job, no electricity, couldn't even afford my car or condo payments. Sick as hell. And the woman who wrecked me? Gone. I was at rock bottom. That's how I ended up in some old lady's living room, hoping she could break whatever spell Tatiana put on me. So let me tell you about the Mexican witch doctor, the curandera. She lived in the old Mexican barrio, in one of those beat-up bungalow-style houses. When we pulled up, I saw a huge Virgin of Guadalupe mural on the porch. Even though my Irish-American mom isn't Mexican, she's a devout Catholic, so I grew up surrounded by her image and knew exactly who she was. Cats lounged around like they owned the place, and the moment we stepped out, a tiny ancient chihuahua started barking like it was trying to alert the whole block. Then she came out. Must have been late 60s, maybe 70s. Looked like a sweet little Mexican grandma at first glance. She shushed her dog. Cállate ya, chismoso. She scolded him, which cracked me up, and went right up to Ruben and Sarah, hugging them and kissing them on the cheek. Hola, mija, she said to Sarah, like they were family. She waved us inside. The place smelled like incense and melted candle wax. Every inch was covered with statues and candles, saints I didn't even recognize. But the real kicker was the back room. In there she had this life-size statue of what looked like the fucking Grim Reaper. Robe, scythe, skull face. I was like, what the hell is that? Turns out it was La Santa Muerte, Holy Death. I'll admit it freaked me out. We all sat down and Ruben and Sarah told her, "We're here for our friend Matthew." She turned those sharp old eyes on me, like she could see straight through all my bullshit. Ay, mijo. Gringo, she said in broken English, shaking her head. A woman put a love curse on you. Look at you. You look like shit. I just blinked. Like, how the fuck did she know? She started asking me questions. If this woman ever fed me, I told her yeah. She used to cook for me all the time. Even brought me special food at work. I told her about the weird statue of a woman in red she kept on her desk. The old woman just nodded like she'd seen this movie 100 times. That's Pombagira, she said. Brazilian folk magic. I don't work with her, but I can help you get rid of what she did. She wants you dead now that she's done with you. You made her mad, wanting to go out there being a Don Juan with other women. She made it so your pee-pee didn't work, didn't she? I just sat there stunned. Because, yeah, by then my friend downstairs hadn't worked in months. Unless I pictured Tatiana, and I hadn't even told her that yet. I finally mumbled, yeah, she just snorted. I know, I see it. Now listen, I can send it back to her if you want, but I won't lie to you. With all the women you've screwed over, there's no guarantee it won't bounce back to you even worse. I shook my head fast. No, just get rid of it. She gave me this long look, like she knew I wasn't innocent in all this, then said, fine. We'll do Olympia. First, she made me strip down to my underwear. I was embarrassed as hell, but she just waved it off. Stop it. I've seen everything. I have 5 sons. She started with an egg, rolling it all over me, muttering prayers in Spanish. Her little old dog just snored in the corner. When the curandera finished Olympia, she held that egg in her hand like it had soaked up every bit of poison stuck to me. She cracked it into a clear glass, and I swear to you, the thing wasn't right. The yolk didn't look like a yolk anymore. It came out putrid, black, thick, like tar swirling in the glass. The smell hit first, rotten, foul, like death itself. Not just spoiled egg smell, worse, like something that had been dead and festering for days. She looked at me and crossed herself, muttering under her breath in Spanish. Said, "Mijo, this isn't normal." She threw a curse at you, meant to kill you, and I just sat there staring at that glass, knowing damn well she was right. Then she handed me this steaming, nasty-smelling tea, told me to drink it. I gagged immediately, almost puked. She told me to drink the rest, said if I didn't, it wouldn't work. So I choked it down and immediately felt my stomach turn. Her assistant, a woman in her 40s, just calmly handed me a bucket like they knew exactly what was coming. I puked my guts out. What came out looked like black motor oil. It was thick, tar-like sludge, reeking of rot and metal. And then I saw it. Two long, slick, eel-looking things writhing and twitching through the muck, like they were alive, slithering over each other before sinking back into that foul, black liquid. The old woman stirred them with a stick, like she'd seen it all before. "Mira," she said. "She fed you underwear potions, a lot of period blood." That grossed me out, made my stomach turn inside out. I dry heaved even harder, thinking about all of the times Tatiana had cooked for me, wondering what the hell I'd really been eating. I was sweating and shaking. I fell asleep right there on her old couch under a scratchy blanket, feverish. We'd gotten there at noon. When I woke up, it was already evening. I could hear Sarah and Ruben laughing and talking out back. Smelled carne asada grilling. When I sat up, the old lady was there with a smile. "You needed rest, mijo. You'll sleep a lot this week. Your body's healing." They'd washed my clothes and handed them back. I got dressed, shaky but lighter. Like something had been peeled off me. Then they fed me. Funny thing is, I'd just had dinner with Ruben and Sarah a few days earlier. Same kind of carne asada, same sides. But this one hit different. Best meal I'd had in months. After that limpia, it was like even my taste buds got cleansed. Everything tasted richer, hotter, more alive. I couldn't stop eating. Ruben told me, "This is going to cost you $200. You'll need to come back 3 more times to kill the curse completely." I paid her ahead of time. You can pay me back later. A couple weeks later, I went back. I slept a lot during this time. My head cleared, and soon after, my luck finally turned. I landed a new job managing a car rental agency. The pay was better than what I'd been making before, enough to catch up on bills and finally get the lights back on. I even started dating again. My health had completely restored. My hair grew back and the black blotches on my skin were gone. And for the first time, I could perform with other women. Without picturing her, I paid Ruben back every penny. After all that, I didn't even feel drawn to Tatiana anymore. I felt disgusted, even hated her. A couple of months later, I went back to see the Mexican witch doctor. Her name was Miss Lupita. I told her straight up, "I want revenge. I want you to send it back to her." She looked at me hard. "Are you sure, mijo? You do this, it might come for you too." I told her I didn't care. She nodded slowly. "Okay. But you'll need to bring me some of her things." I got it easily. Downloaded some photos off her social media. Found a pair of her panties she'd left at my place forever ago. I dropped them off with Miss Lupita. A week later, she handed me a black plastic bag, like one for dog poop, and gave me instructions. 3 nights on the waning moon, fill it with your hatred. Then at dusk, take it to the cemetery and bury it by the oldest crumbling grave. Don't look back. So I did, and that was that. The rest of 2021 and all of 2022, I was finally back to myself. But like the Mexican witch doctor warned me, revenge can stir up trouble. Around early 2023, everything started falling apart again. I got reckless at my new job at the car rental agency, messing around with women at work, juggling a few from dating apps, even fooling around with customers. I thought I was untouchable, like nobody could touch my game. Then it all blew up in my face. One of the women I'd messed around with at work, the same one I dumped when I got bored, set me up. She secretly recorded me on company property that night, and the footage showed me being intimate with a customer. Thought I'd erased all the footage, but that hidden camera caught everything. She came in early the next morning, saw it, and called the regional manager. They ran a surprise audit I never saw coming. That footage was all they needed. I was busted. No way to talk myself out of it. My behavior was scandalous, and They fired me immediately for misconduct. After that, I couldn't find a damn job anywhere. With no paycheck coming in, I fell behind on everything. I lost my condo, the HOA fees stacked up, and once I couldn't pay, they took it and kicked me out. I ended up living out of my car, barely holding on. Then it got even worse. One day, while I was washing myself at a grimy sink in some truck stop bathroom, trying to scrape together some dignity, they repoed my car. I walked out and it was just gone. All I had left was a beat-up duffel bag full of clothes. That was it. Nothing else. The old symptoms came roaring back. Hair falling out in clumps, nonstop diarrhea, couldn't keep food down. I started drinking again. I'd never been a heavy drinker, just social back in high school, but now I was drowning in it. Lost the condo, lost the car, lost everything. Ended up on the street, digging through trash just to eat. One night, some assholes jumped me while sleeping behind a dumpster and knocked out my 2 front teeth. By then, I didn't even look like the hot stud I used to be. One day, I caught my reflection in the clean, polished window of a nice restaurant where people were dining inside. There I was, disheveled, hollow-eyed, and broken. I remembered how I used to walk into places like that for lunch or dinner, confident and in control. Now I was nothing more than a shadow, scraping by and barely recognizable even to myself. Eventually, I found myself sleeping in a Catholic church parking lot, broke, sick, cold, alone. One morning, an old priest found me. Father Lomali. He didn't judge, just handed me a hot coffee and some food, told me to come inside. I went in and sat with him, finally unloading everything. Told him I'd been a Catholic kid once. Told him how far off the rails I'd gone. Told him I believed a woman had put a curse on me. He didn't laugh. He gave me a rosary and a bottle of holy water and said, "You've opened doors you shouldn't have, but God's mercy is bigger than any curse." So I started praying every day. Even when it felt empty. Even when I didn't think it would help, I just kept doing it. Father Lomeli got me a bed at a shelter, then a job cleaning the church grounds. I swept, pulled weeds, mopped floors. I worked, I prayed, I cried. I begged God for mercy. Slowly, things started to change. I stopped drinking, got my teeth fixed through a free clinic, and Father Lomeli helped me land a tiny studio apartment, just a bathroom and a kitchenette. Nothing like the luxury condo I once had, but it was mine. My Dodge Challenger was long gone, so I pedaled around on a cheap bike, and whenever the parish needed groceries, Father Lomeli tossed me the keys to the church van. For the first time in years, I reached out to my parents, my siblings, my ex-wife, and my son. When I was living on the streets, I'd been both too ashamed and too proud to ask for help, too broke to pay child support, and too afraid to face my boy knowing what I had become. But now, I was finally making things right. My mom told me she'd been praying for me every single day, asking God to pull me out of the pit I'd dug for myself. Maybe all the pain, the curses, the streets, it wasn't just hell. Maybe it was God's mercy and my mother's prayers bringing me back to faith, back to my family, and back to a chance at life again. Then one day, I ran into Ruben again. Funny thing, I used to avoid him when I was on the street, too embarrassed to let him see me like that. But now that I was back on my feet, I didn't mind talking. He clapped me on the shoulder, said he was glad to see me alive. Then he told me something wild. Said his wife, Sarah, had heard from another woman in town, because, it's a mid-sized city and people talk, that Tatiana got her karma. Her rich husband caught her with another man, divorced her, took custody of their son, and she got sick. Lupus, an out-of-control thyroid that caused her weight gain, arthritis so bad she needed a cane. That stuck in my head for weeks. Then one day, around the beginning of 2025, I was out running errands for the church, waiting in line at the store behind some woman. I caught sight of the familiar tattoos peeking from under her stretched black skirt. It was her, Tatiana. She didn't see me, but I saw her. She was big now, heavy with years and pain, leaning on a cane. Her hair was hacked short, bald spots showing, a wart perched on her nose. Proof, maybe, that all witches eventually morph into those cliché Halloween hags. Hard to believe this was the same seductive queen who once ruled my mind. And I realized we'd both gotten our karma. She was probably about 45 by now. She didn't look like the young, hot woman who'd wrecked me. And I sure didn't look like the cocky, well-dressed player I'd been back then. We were both different people now, both paying the price. She with her cane and witch's wart, me with my bald head, years etched into my face, and a limp I'd carried ever since the night I got jumped. So here's my warning, especially to the players out there, to the ones who think they can screw around with hearts, minds, and souls without consequence. Be careful who you mess with, because sometimes you think you're just playing a game, and sometimes that game plays you right back. And to anyone dabbling in witchcraft for love, lust, or revenge, don't. That door you open, it never closes the same way. I thought I was in control. Turns out, I was just the next victim. Thanks for listening. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments if you've been through anything creepy like this.